Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Money Hour. And here we are live with you to solve all your questions that have been asked this week. And our topic was Post Office Savings Bank Account. So, we'll be covering everything about this bank account, and I'll be answering the questions that our lovely ladies on the community have asked us. Now, let's just hold on for a couple of more minutes while everyone joins in, and then maybe we can just start with our session. Great. So, we have. Hi, Priya. So, we have people joining in. Well, I want to first ask a lot of you that how many of you actually have a post office savings bank account? Because I'm curious, as a lot of people in the community have not asked us questions about post office savings account, and I'm just excited to know how many of you are actually interested in opening one, because I think what we're going to talk about today is going to cover a lot of it, and it should give you a brief, about what this account is and how to open an account, how to go about it, and everything you need to know before opening an account. And trust me, it's very easy, it's very simple, it's nothing fancy. It's just like any other savings account that you get in a bank. It's just that the entity which is providing this is not a bank but a post office instead. So, great, we shall start with our first. Okay, so how we're going to go about this is, first I'm going to tell you everything about post office savings account, and then we can start answering questions for all of you. Now, first, a post office savings account is just like any other savings account which you can open with a post office. Now, the eligibility for this account is that you need to either be an adult, or two adults only can actually open a joint savings account together. Then you can be a guardian to either a person of an unsound mind or a minor. Then you can actually be a minor above the age of 10 who can hold this account in your name. So this is one feature that this savings account have in like, which makes it actually very different from the other savings account out there. And it is essential for any person who opens this account to nominate somebody for their respective accounts. Without nomination, you cannot open this account. And for account opening, you need to have your KYC done, because again, it's mandatory now. You have to have a KYC in order to open any account and to make any transactions in that account. Second, we talk about how to open this account and what is the minimum balance requirement for account opening. Now, you can open this account by going to any post office in your area and getting an account opened directly through there. The minimum amount you need to keep in your savings account, or the minimum amount you need to deposit in order to open the saving account, has to be rupees 500, and the minimum amount you can withdraw is rupees 50. Now, you can actually withdraw more than 50 rupees also, and in fact 50 is the minimum amount of withdrawal. You can actually withdraw more than whatever you require you have in your account. Just make sure you have at least 500 rupees left in your savings account, so that you do not fall below the minimum requirement which is required by the savings account. Now, if you have, for example, 400 rupees in your account and the minimum requirement is 500, you will be charged rupees 100 by the post office. And if you pay the whatever deficit is remaining, then your account will be continued. In case you don't, so what the post office will do is they'll keep deducting 100 rupees from your account, and till it gets nullified. And the day it gets nullified is when your account is automatically closed from the post office end. So that is one way how your account can actually be closed by the post office if you don't meet the minimum requirement by them. Now, coming to the next part is the interest, and I think that is what a lot of you have interest in. So the interest for a post office savings account is 4% per annum for an individual or a joint account. Now this interest is calculated from 10th of every month to the end of the period, and you are liable to receive this amount at the end of the financial year, since the amount is per annum basis. Now the interest is done, the time period is done, and again one more thing, if in the period when you're if between the 10th and the end of the period you do not have your minimum balance of 500, in that case you would not receive the interest, like the interest amount won't be calculated on that amount. So that is one thing you really need to make sure of, that you are adhering to the minimum balance. Now we have the joint account facility. So the one thing in your post office account is that you can have a joint account provided two adults are holding it together. In case any person decides to convert the joint account into a single account, or a single into a joint account, it's not possible. You have to open a separate account. And one more thing, this reminds me that one person can have one post office account under their name. So if, as Chanchal Saxena, I want to open my account, I can either have I can only have one account as my account, and one account if I have any dependents as a guardian if I'm holding. Otherwise, I cannot open multiple accounts in a post office for that reason. Now, coming back to the joint policy, now a lot of people out here might be holding accounts in post office, and due to COVID a lot of them have actually faced loss of their loved ones. And in that case, actually there's one thing that you need to be very mindful of, that if there are two individuals who are holding a post office savings account together, and if any one person dies, in that case the other person is the sole owner of this account, and you can actually get that account converted into a single person account instead of holding, because since the joint holding is not there anymore, you can have it as a single person account. So that's one thing about the joint account here. Now, there's one very interesting feature about a post office savings account, and that is the silent account. So what happens is, if for consecutive 3 years you do not make any transactions, that is any deposits or withdrawal from the savings account, your account is declared silent or dormant. Now, in this case, you will be earning interest since you have a minimum amount in your bank account. So that is not a problem. But then your account is no longer eligible for making active transactions. Now, what you have to do is you have to provide a fresh KYC to the post office in order to make your silent or dormant account into an active account. Similarly, if you're a minor whose parents were holding your post office account for you, in that case, once you attain majority, you have to go and submit your fresh KYC documents and make that account completely yours, like take the ownership of your account. Now, I think I have covered pretty much everything about post office now, and this should give you a fair idea about how to open it, where to open it, what are the features, what are the interests, what are the clauses, and this should help you out. Now, let's come back to the questions. The whole concept of money are here. So we have gotten a lot of questions from all of you. Now, starting from Apeksha Naik's questions, and wow, she has sent in 3 questions. Thank you, Apeksha. Thank you for sending in your queries. So, her first question is, how liquid are the post office schemes? Now, to talk about the post office scheme, so post office savings account is just one account that it provides under its savings schemes. There are a lot of savings schemes that post office provides, which are RD, time deposits. So here the fixed deposit is actually known as a time deposit. So you have RDs, you have TDs, you have SSAs, that is Sukanya Samriddhi account, which is under your Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana. Then you have KVPs, the Kisan Vikas Padham Yojana, Chapter, you have NSCs, the national scheme. So you have a lot of saving schemes that post office provide you. They also allow you to open a PPF with them. So here, the liquidity, I would say that since all these schemes are, sorry about that. So since all these schemes are fixed income schemes, like they all provide you a fixed interest to each of these instrument. The liquidity is compromised here. There is one instrument which has the minimum liquidity of it. Which has a minimum lock-in of 6 months. Now the lock-in differs obviously for all of them, and that is to a huge, for a huge period, like it's 3 years or 2 years or 1 year at least. But if you are doing a premature withdrawal, in that case also the minimum time period to stay lock-in is 6 months. So all your instruments here start from a 6 month lock-in to XYZ amount, depending on what instrument you're investing in. So for a PPF, it can actually go to 15 years. For an NSE, it's actually 5 years. So it completely depends on which instrument you're picking. But obviously, to summarize it all, the post office schemes are not highly liquid, because here the returns are fixed. And as we know, the thumb rule that higher the return, higher the risk, and lower the return, lower the risk. So to mitigate your risk and to protect your capital against volatility, the returns and the time period is lower. Now coming to our next question by Apeksha, it is the ROI for all post office savings schemes fixed? So ROI is return on investment. So yes, Apeksha, all of these instruments here have a fixed return on investment. So all your so I'll give you an example. So right now, if you open an RD, or if you open a TD with post office, you'll have different time periods, and for each time period a fixed interest is given, like 5.5%, 5.6%, 5.8%, and so on and so forth. For your savings account, you have a 4% interest per annum. So similarly, all your savings account and all your savings schemes at post office have a fixed return. So yes, all your post office savings schemes have a fixed ROI attached to them. Then we have a question from Apeksha again. Account and all post office schemes be operated online? So thank you, Apeksha, for asking this question, because a lot of people in the community want to know this, that can we operate our savings account at the post office or any other savings scheme that we have taken up online? Because in today's date, trust me, nobody wants to get out of the house and stand in that queue. And I think in today's date, it is something that as a safety precaution, nobody would want to do either. So there's one thing that the post office has introduced, not now, but it's been a while. That is a intra-operable net banking facility or a mobile banking facility. So here, you cannot open an account from here, and neither can you open any of these saving schemes. For them, you have to go to the post office physically. But your net banking facility has some things that it will help you with. So I'll help you out with the things that this net banking facility is going to offer. So it is going to allow you to view transactions of all linked accounts in your post office, in the post office under your KYC. You can I'm sorry, I'm using bank again. You can view and print your savings account statements. Then you can, and other statements also, if you have an RD or a KVP or an MIS, NSE, anything, you can print your statements here. You can make fund transfer between post office savings accounts. Now, this doesn't allow you to actually make transfers outside, and that's why the name is intra-operable. So here, if I have a savings account and if my father has a savings account, we can make transactions between these savings accounts itself. Then you can actually deposit in the linked RD account that you hold. You can make deposits in your SSA account, that is Sukanya Samriddhi account. You can make deposits in your PPF account. You can open a TD account here online. You can open an RD account here, and you can actually make any request to stop your check payments if you have issued any check under this account. So these are the facilities that you can operate under the intra-operable net banking facility provided by the post office. Awesome. Now the next question we have is by Deepa, and again she has sent in two questions. Wow, we have really enthusiastic, community members, and I love answering their questions. So we have a question here which says, wanted to know whether all accounts SB, RD, MIS, others from post office be operated online. Wow, Deepa, I think I just answered your question by answering Apeksha's question actually. So yes, you like I mentioned, you have a online portal to support some transactions, to open some accounts, but not everything can be done there. You have to go physically to the post office to open a lot of your accounts, to make any request. And to be very honest, if there are certain things that you want to do, like make any transfers of your certificates of your accounts, everything needs to be done physically. So post office is not there yet compared to what we have in the private sector banks, that everything is just on a click of a button. But here you actually have to physically go and do it. But this actually makes me think that, isn't it nice that by doing these things we're actually being very much aware of the process, of the timelines of what we have. And because once you have everything on the phone, you just kind of it's like in the back of your head that कि ठीक है, if I need it I can open it and check it. But when it's something that you have to always be on your toes for, you're more aware of it. That's just something I feel, and that's just something I like to do. Like I like to be aware of what I'm doing. So it actually helps me to always be aware of my finances in a way. So why make it online? Let's do something more physically now. Okay, so another question from Deepa here is, I downloaded the IPPB app, but how to get it registered? So again, Deepa, if you want to get yourself registered on the app, you have to physically walk down to the post office. You have to make a request there that you need to register yourself for this app. They will they'll make you do some paperwork, and then within 48 hours, you'll be receiving a code on your mobile number, the registered mobile number. And from there on, you can follow up and open your app and see where you need to put that code, and then you can follow and create your profile and do your transactions. So I hope that answers your question. And next we have a question by Satavishar Saha, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but if just correct me if I'm wrong. We have three questions from her. Wow. So we have again, can we have to do physically, or can we do our transactions online? So and she has mentioned like making withdrawals and deposits. So wow, I think post office really needs to develop, and post office really needs to match its competitors, the other banks out there, because everyone is habitual of doing things online. But I think I've answered this question in a lot of depth, and I don't want people to say, come on, move on, next question. So I'll just take on to the next question. What is the ROI currently? So for a post office savings account, your ROI is 4% per annum. And to those who don't understand the term ROI is return on investment. And this is nothing but the return you generate on the amount you have invested with a certain entity. So we have a lot of people here who have commented. Hi Shweta, hi Benita, hi Rebecca. Rebecca has also posted post office is very slow. Trust me, Rebecca, post office is slow. you have to do everything there. You have to go there and get it done. But trust me, the people there are very sweet, because I recently had to send a lot of things to the office, like documents, and I have visited the post office like twice and thrice, and that was like the first time I had entered the post office, and I was like, oh my god, this is so new. But it was nice. It was the people out there were very helpful to me. So I think it's about the post office. Is something about the post office. So we have Rebecca who's asking, can you talk about Kisan Vikas Patra? So Rebecca, to your question, we are actually having another session completely on KVPs, and there we'll be able to help you more in depth, all the features, all the returns and everything out there. So right now I'm trying to focus on the post office savings scheme part. So you can stay tuned and I can help you out at this at the end. But if you want to know more, please join in our next live where we'll be talking about the KVPs in depth. So coming to your next question, can we break the FD whenever we are in need? Okay, so this is a good question, and I actually want to let you guys know this, that in a post office you don't get a FD, you get a TD. So TD is a time deposit which comes with a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and a 5 year period. And in these periods, you can actually make an investment, but you also can make a premature withdrawal. It is allowed. So here obviously you have to pay a penalty. There has to be a certain amount for which you are being invested. I'll just tell you exactly the amount which is required. Just a second. So for every TD, you have to be invested for at least 6 months here. So after being invested for 6 months, only you can make a premature withdrawal. But that too, for certain reasons, like you cannot just make any withdrawal out there. You need to have a proper reasoning given, and then you can do it. But mostly it is allowed, so you can actually try it. I have not tried it, so I don't know if you can, if it requires any particular reason or you need to stick to particular clauses, because there are some instruments which need to be in case of any person's critical illness or death or education or something that you have in you are in an emergency and you really need that money and it does not fit in these clauses. So you can actually go and get a gazetted officer signature written, like you can write a letter, get it signed, and then present it to the post office. So there are clauses, they all differ. So that in that case you have to get it checked if it is applicable for yours or not. Okay, so great. I think I've actually answered her question. Okay, great. I've answered all her questions. Now coming to the next set of question. Just a second here. Okay, great. Okay, so next we have this a different set of questions here. So we have a question from Shweta, and she's asking, is this really suggested when we have options like short-term FD and debt, hybrid funds for short-term? Okay, so I believe her question is not regarding post office. It's a very generic question when we talk about a short-term duration. So yes, options like short-term FD, debt mutual funds, and I think your hybrid funds that you wanted to know, yeah, your hybrid funds, they all constitute a great amount of support when you want to build a short-term portfolio for yourself. So in debt mutual fund, again, depending on the time period, you can select which kind of a fund you want. If you want money within 3 months, you can actually invest for overnight funds, liquid funds, and if a little more, you can go like for 6 months, you can go for ultra short duration term funds. So debt mutual funds is the right, the first option that you should always look for. Second, you can look for short-term FDs. Now, these short-term FDs actually start from a 7-day period to 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, 4 month, depending on the time period. Be very mindful that you are sticking to the minimum balance requirement for these. And if there are any clauses and terms and conditions, then you have your hybrid hybrid funds. Now, in your hybrid funds, you actually have a fund known as an arbitrage fund. Now, this is very helpful if you want to stick to a lesser risk and still generate better returns compared to like extremely debt mutual funds. So here what happens is that the fund managers will buy in a different market at a lower price and sell in a different market at a higher price. So here the markets are the spot market and the derivative market, but we don't need to go into that. So here what they do is they sell in different markets at different prices, and that's how they actually make their profits. And these profits are already booked. So here the volatility is actually very less, and your returns are also better because the markets are not just debt markets but actually equity markets. So hybrid fund is a good solution for a short-term period, and nowadays, actually, if you think of it this way, a savings account which provides you 7% return per annum is actually a better option than any XYZ security which might give you just a 5. Now, if I take a fixed deposit for 5.5% for a year, and I can actually get a 7% per annum for in just a bank account, I think we should move on from the traditional methods and compare and see what works best for us, and instead just keep our money saved in the savings account. Now, see, the only difference here is that in a FD you will be very disciplined. You know you can't get that money out, but in a savings account, debit card nikala, chale gaye shopping. So that is something that we really need to avoid. And if you can stay disciplined, I think there's nothing wrong with exploring options which are easily available out there, and giving better returns, because see, at the end of the day, wealth creation is just to create money, right? So be it a savings account or an FD, we need to be mindful of where we are getting the right kind of returns. We have a question here from Lavanya Narayan. Is it safe to invest in NBFC FDs? How do we check the safety parameters? So Lavanya, any NBFC is again, like an entity which is regulated. So I think there's nothing wrong in investing in an FD of an NBFC. Although if you want to determine that is the NBFC that I'm investing in good, is it creditable, is it safe to invest there, I would suggest that read about it. So if tomorrow I want to invest in a debt, like this is an example, okay, and it is actually going to tell you guys something more. So if I want to invest in a debt mutual fund, and I know that there's this XYZ AMC which used to provide debt mutual funds, but now SEBI has requested it to stop issuing debt securities for 3 years as a penalty of a mishap that happened. And this is actually in the news, and I would want you guys to read it and tell me in the comment section that which AMC or the mutual fund house I'm talking about. Okay, let's see how many of you can actually find it. So this has been in the news for the last couple of days, that there's an AMC, a mutual fund company, which has been because of non-compliance and a couple of mishaps that happened with it, it has been requested by the SEBI to stop issuing debt securities for 3 years. Now, I know that this AMC is a registered AMC. I know that it is regulated by SEBI, but because I'm aware of the news about it and everything going around it, I know if it's safe to invest it or not. Similarly, your NBFC plays here. You need to read about this place. You need to read about anything that's going on in the news about it. And you should also, not just read about the entity you're investing in, but also the security. So now, since we got a news lately that the repo rates haven't changed, but if it would have changed, it would have actually impacted your debt security. Like your fixed deposit comes into a fixed income instrument, so it would have impacted that too. So in that case, you should read about it, that, if it has impacted, is it, should I invest now or should I go for a better opportunity? See, we cannot time the market, but we can always compare and choose for the next best option, right? So that is something that you can do here. So I think that answers your question. Benita has another question. I have Yes Bank shares. Should I sell or keep? I'm tired seeing the red color amount. Okay, Benita, I am so sorry, but before answering your question, I have to make this joke here. So there was this day sometime back where there was a glitch by the markets, and the Yes Bank shares were only showing profits. Like, it was complete profit that they were showing, and it was a glitch. It was announced that Yes Bank, there's a problem with the Yes Bank. And oh my god, everybody that I know, they were like, "Mere shares so profit mein chalega." And then soon after we got the news, everyone sat with a frown, and I cannot take that picture out of my head, while reading this. So again, I am not the right person, nor am I the person to suggest if you should sell or keep. It's completely your decision. All you have to do is just ensure that you are not losing onto any capital. And I don't know how long back you have invested in these shares, but the one tip that I can give to you as a money coach here is you should not look at equity stocks as a from a trading mechanism purview, but actually as an investment, and let it sit for some time, let it incubate and generate returns for you. So the longer you wait on it, the better returns it will give. And even if it won't give you a return of at least more than 10%, more than 12%, which ideally shares might give, at least it will not leave you in a loss, which it is right now. And if you're telling me that right now you're seeing it in a red color, then why do you want to sell it? Just hold on, let the amount reach a profit at least, or at least a break even, at least then you can sell it. But don't sell it in a loss at least. And unless it's a money you really really want to use for yourself, like if you if you need it urgently, then that's a different case. But if not, then please just leave it untouched. Okay, great. So next we have a question by Sia, who says, "What is the best platform to start investing?" Wow. Um, okay, I want to question this, and I want to ask, what is the right food for eating? Does that make sense? So here my point is that investing is a broader concept. It's a very easy but a very broad concept, and I cannot tell you that the right platform to invest is XYZ or ABC, because I don't know what you want. XYZ might have some other instruments, ABC might have some other instruments. So the right way of going about this is, first identify your goals, first identify what do you want from your investments, and then you can actually see what is your investor profile. Now when we talk about investor profile, we mean what is your risk appetite, what are your goals, what is the time period you want to stay invested in, how much can you invest in a security. Because I'll tell you, if you want, today you have 10,000 rupees in your pocket, you can invest in most of the securities out there. But if you are a person who wants to invest in a in a XYZ FD, which will give you 8.5 returns even in today's date, but has a minimum investment value of 50,000, that's not for you, because you won't be able to invest in that security. So you need to be aware of your investor profile, and then you have to decide where you want to invest in. So if, for example, I am a person who wants to start her MBA in the next 5 years, okay, and I know that I need to have at least double digit lakh rupees to fund my education. Now it's a long term goal. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, now I know it's a long term goal and my investments should be a little on a heavier side, because I know the amount I'm requesting is also heavy. I can't say that I'm going to invest 100 rupees now and in 5 years I'm going to get like 30 lakhs. We need to be a little realistic with our goals too. Now this is done, I have a long term portfolio to make. So now what I'm going to do is, I have already made investments in gold. Suppose I have already invested in SGBs in the previous year, because everyone was talking about SGBs. Now out of my long term portfolio, already my 10 to 15% is invested in gold, so I don't need to bother about that. The remaining, I know that it's a long term goal, so I can play a little with my risk appetite here and invest in equity segment. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to actually diversify my portfolio into equity mutual funds, equity stocks, equity ETFs like Nifty ETFs or gold ETFs. And gold ETF is not an equity ETF, but I'm just saying like gold ETFs for that matter. And keep diversifying my portfolio. Now I know I still have some amount, and I don't know what to do with that. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to invest in a tax saving FD. I know that it is going to be okay, not a tax saving FD because it has a lock in of 10 years. Maybe we can go for a FD for 5 years, because I know, okay, I've already exhausted the other instruments here, so why not explore? So, and if I don't want to explore, I can just increase my allocation of funds in each channel with a higher amount. Like if I was investing 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, I can make it 40,000, 40,000, 40,000, and complete my portfolio. So this is how you need to start planning. Now, once I know I want to invest in gold mutual funds, gold ETFs, gold SGBs, equity stocks, equity mutual funds, and equity ETFs. Now I need to decide which platform I want to go for. And to answer your question, like which platform should one go for, the best answer is one whose user interface you understand. Like just imagine opening a app and just trying to figure out what does it do. So that is not what we want. A app with a simple UI, a app which has some credibility to it. Like if it's a mutual fund distributor app, then it should be registered with AMFI. It should have an ARN number, everything that you can cross verify. Then you can choose something which has a good review. Like always go for reviews. Then you can see the customer. You can always get on a call, see how the customer service is. If you think that then you can always avoid. So these are the few things how you can choose which platform to go for. But if you ask me simply that I want to start investing, tell me what to do, I can only guide you. I cannot like spoon feed you with what needs to be done, because trust me, ladies, we all need to be aware. If today I tell you that I want to invest in equity stocks because I need money in the next 3 years for my education, somebody who's already a person who has completed their double MAs, double XYZ degrees, why would they want to save for an MBA, right? Like, it makes no sense. So we all need to be aware of our needs and then plan it out. But I'm happy you asked this question, because I think this is how I can actually address this question for all of you out there. Then we have another question from Sia again. Wow, we have, how can we start investing? What is the minimum cost to start investing? As I'm a student, so I have given a very detailed explanation on how you can go about investing. But if you want to know what is the minimum cost, the minimum cost can be as small as ₹1. Trust me, it's as small as ₹1, and I'll tell you why. So this is not across instruments. Okay, don't come back to me saying that Chanchal, you said you can invest in ₹1 in a gold mutual fund, and I went there. It's not across instruments. It's for this one instrument I'm talking about. So there's gold coins which are available through MMTC PAM. So these are MMTC PAM gold coins, which is also known as digital gold by a lot of people. Like they assume this is digital gold and everything else is not. But again, okay, let's not get diverted. Digital gold is something that you can get, and from this digital gold, you can actually invest ₹1 also. So again, which instrument you're going for is going to determine what kind of a minimum value investment you would need. If you want to go for a PMS, that is I'm sorry, I forgot. A PMS, portfolio management service. When you say PMS, the only thing you can think of. So if you go for a PMS, that's a portfolio management service, you need a minimum of 50 lakh. Again, not for a retail investor. So you need to be mindful of which instrument you're going. Check with the whatever body you're investing in. If what are the clauses, what are the features, what are the benefits, and then make your right investment choice. Now we have a question from Jinsi, and she's asking, FD or mutual fund lump sum, amount is small up to 40K. Okay, so again this comes back to what we were talking about. FD, good for a shorter duration. It is it doesn't have too many returns, like not too many. I should say not a higher return. It has a very moderate return. It comes like depending on where you're investing, you can get somewhere around 6.5%, the highest right now, unless it's like an exclusive FD which has a very high minimum balance requirement. So FD, moderate returns, and for short to from an ultra short to actually a long period, depending what kind of investment you want to make. Whereas mutual fund is very diverse. I don't know if you want to go for a short term, long term, ultra short term, extra long term. Again, depends where you want to go for. Lump sum you can make anywhere. See, if you know you can't stick to an SIP, there's no point of talking about an SIP. You know, if it's a one-time investment, I don't think you should think twice before making a mutual fund investment anyway. So if the amount is small, see again, Jinsi, it's very difficult even as a as someone who understands finances to give a right suggestion, because we need to know the term. Okay, so Jinsi has responded it's a short term. Okay, great. So if it's a short term, first I see which mutual fund you want to go for. You can see the best way to choose a mutual fund is, guys, go on the internet, search top 10 short term mutual funds, top 10 debt mutual funds, and see whatever mutual funds they're showing. Then do your analysis, like compare and see what works for you, and then make your investment. Now if it's a short term period, uh, first see what kind of a short term it is. Like you want to aim for a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, then check the returns you will get on a 1 year FD and the returns you'll get on a 1 year mutual fund. You can go to if you do investing with Lxme, you can check the ultra short duration, ultra short term portfolio that we have. Put in your amount of a lump sum payment and see what returns we are offering. And in Lxme app only you'll find the returns you get on an FD. Compare and see which works for you. At the end, I believe your aim is to grow your money, right? So wherever you get higher returns is where you should make your investment. Although while making these, you should also be aware of the other factors that are going to affect your investment. Like in FD, your interest is going to be taxed every financial year, whereas in mutual funds, your returns are going to be taxed only when you make a redemption. That means when you sell your unit capital off, and in FD, after one period, you get your returns, and you can have an option to break it or to auto redeem it. In mutual funds, again, you have an option to either stay invested, or if you know that after 3 years you don't need that money, you can actually stay invested for more 4 years or 5 years. You can opt for an STP, that is a systematic transfer plan, and transfer your units from a debt fund to an equity fund. So that is that is one great feature that mutual funds offer to you. So I think I have given you enough comparison points to make a decision on which one is better. Again, the choice lies in your hand. Okay, next, moving on, we have a question from Anu. She's asking, can you please share about postal life insurance? Government has expanded the criteria of people who can enroll for this. Great. So postal life insurance is a life. Okay, see, life insurance is just a very broad term. Okay, in life insurance, you have a lot of types of life insurance: a whole life, a term life, an endowment plan, a money back plan, XYZ plans you have. Okay, so in post office also there are a lot of types of insurances that are provided by like a lot of type of life insurances that the post office provide. But assuming you're talking about the whole life plan, I'll answer this question. So postal life insurance was actually introduced way back in 1884, and it was actually started for the welfare scheme of the benefits of the postal employees. And they wanted to do something exclusively for their employees, and that is how it started. And then later on it actually extended to the employees of telegraph department in somewhere around 1888, I believe. And then in 1894 was the time where when they wanted to actually increase the spectrum of this insurance, and lend a hand towards the ladies. Like it was really famous amongst the women of these departments and the other government bodies that the women should specifically be a part of the postal life insurance. And later on, like very later on, it actually started covering all the central and state government employees, the central and state public sector undertaking employees, employees of any universities, nationalized banks, local bodies, government aided educational institutes, autonomous bodies, and joint ventures having a minimum of at least 10% of government or PSU stake, and even for credit corporate societies. And they also extend their insurance cover to the officers and staff of the defense. So the postal insurance had made sure that they can cover almost everyone out there, and it's a very great scheme. You can always read about it on the you can always check it out on the internet what the scheme is, and if you fall under any of these categories, you can check what are the premiums and what are the returns, like the sum assured that you might get, and all the clauses, all the terms and conditions of the same. So I hope that answers your question. Coming to the next part, we have two questions from Aisha. Oh wow. So her first question is, why should I open this account? Oh great. Why should you open this account? So now, assuming that I'm a salesperson and I'm from the post office service, I need to convince you why should you open this account. If I may, it's a very normal account. There's nothing fancy, and there's nothing. There's literally nothing that I could convince you for, because it's just a savings account, and I think I've already mentioned the features and everything, and they should be enough for you to know if it's the right account for you or not. Although if you ask me why would one open a post office savings account, I can give you one very good reason. So you can have, ideally what Lxme suggested, you should have 3 accounts for yourself, okay? One is a earn account where you earn your salary, where you earn your rent, like if you have lent something out, where you receive your any income, be it active, passive, primary, secondary, you earn there. Then you should have a spend account through which you make all your spendings, okay? Like I have to make my spendings from this account, and you know that this is, if this my XYZ is a money in my account, this is the only money I'm going to touch. Your third account becomes your save account, from where you make your, from like where you put your savings, and from there you start channelizing your investments. So your post office savings account can be either of these accounts, and that is one of the reasons why you might want to open this. If you are someone like, if I know, if my grandparents would have wanted to open an account, they would not trust a private bank, because we know that, back then everyone had this thing that, oh, it's a private sector bank, oh, it's a government, if it's a public sector bank, that means government ka haath to iske upar hi hoga types. So if somebody has those kind of stereotypical mindsets, and they already have a prejudice against private sector or a developing sector bank, one might want to open a post office saving scheme, because they know it's regulated by, again, the government has a huge role here. So I think these are the only ways I can convince you to open, or why would one want to open an account. But again, the choice is yours. If you want to open, you are always free to open, and if you don't want to, nobody is going to force you. You can always compare across various accounts and see whichever account gives you the best benefits and features, just go for that. Okay, next we have again a question from Aisha here. What is the minimum amount for post office saving bank account? Again, post office saving account here, and you need a minimum of rupees 500 for account opening and account maintenance. And once that is met, then you can have XYZ amount in your account. There's no upper cap to it. So I think that answers your question. Then we're going to take this last question here, and it is from, okay, I don't know what the username is here, but okay, how to convince people about investing in other funds than post office, which is giving higher interest rate? See, I told you there would be people who would be investing in these accounts because they don't want to go for a developing or an emerging sector. Oh God, wow, this is like a really amazing question that has been asked. So, see, I'll tell you, nowadays people want to invest in things which are tangible, which has a regulator and something you can show in a document that, look, it's written, it says that this is what's going to happen. So I think if you want to convince someone with that kind of a thought, what you can do is you can actually, if you want to convince them to invest in a mutual fund, for example, download a scheme related document and show it to them. Show them that, look, this is regulated by SEBI. This is a registered mutual fund under AMFI. You have a riskometer on your scheme related documents, like the SID that you have in the scheme information document. In that you have a riskometer. Show it to them. If it is like, I know it won't work in your favor if it's a high risk fund, but if it's a low risk fund, if it's a debt fund that you're investing in, that you can show them that look, it's very less risky. You can actually show, and in every document there's a table which provides you the return. So it shows you return from, if it's a debt fund, it shows you 1 day, 7 day, 30 days inception. It's somewhere around in days or months, if I'm not wrong. I think it's days. And if it's an equity fund, then it has like 1 year, 3 year, 5 year since inception. So you can always show them that and show that look the returns, look at the returns, and then show them that look your post office return. So if somebody tells me that would you keep your emergency fund in a post office savings scheme, that is the normal savings account, or in a liquid debt fund, which is like right now not doing too well, I would still want to go for a liquid fund. I'll tell you why. Because in a post office savings scheme, the return is 4%. Even though it's fixed, it's just 4%. Whereas in my debt liquid fund, the return is somewhere around 5%. Again, it's not guaranteed, but you should look at this. If it can go from 5 to 2, it can also go from 5 to 7. So as investors, we are, and this is a psychological bias known as loss aversion, where we actually anticipate for the loss, and uh, we don't want to spend. We don't want to take that risk, assuming that we might not want to suffer a even more loss down there. So in this case, I am a person who understands finances. So what I'm gonna say is that okay, it might go to too less, right? It will give me just 3%, but if it works well, it will either give me a 5 or at least a 7%, which is way higher than what I could earn from a post office savings account. Now here, I get that benefit. Secondly, any interest that I earn on my savings account here is going to be taxed every year, like I mentioned before. In my mutual fund, I know I only have to pay tax if if I sell it. If I don't sell it, I'm just enjoying whatever returns I have. And if someday I decide I want to aim even better, I don't want these I don't want this money which is invested, I would choose a STP plan, shift from a debt to an equity mutual fund, and then I would just sit like for 10 years. I'm just enjoying I'm just looking at my money grow. I'm not even paying any tax on it right away. So that is one thing that one needs to be very mindful of, and I know it only occurs to one when they know about it. And that is one reason we recommend you to join the Being Lxme community on Facebook, where I am there, Priya is there, and a lot of members from the team Lxme are going to be there to help you understand your finances, help you understand how instruments work, so you know what you want to invest in. Okay, I'll give you a very, very simple example, and I think a lot of you can actually relate to it. If you have 3 dishes in front of you, like any food dishes, unless you know what are the ingredients, unless you know what it is made of, unless you know how it tastes, how are you going to choose what you want to eat, right? If one is sweet, one is salty, one is sour, if you know that you are a sweet tooth, why would you go for a sweet or a salty one? So why would you go for a sour or a salty one when you know that this one is the sweet one, right? So that is what one should do. You should always choose amongst the options which are available, which you are also very much aware of. So with this, I think we have answered all the questions that we have received, and we are close to 5 o'clock today. So I don't think we also have any more questions left. And thank you all of you who joined in today. Please do join in the Being Lxme community. As I mentioned, that's a great platform where you and I can interact more. If you want to learn anything, if you want to ask questions, trust me, I don't bite. You can ask me as much as you want. There are other members of the team also who are constantly there on the community to help you out. You can also download our Lxme app, and we have learning modules on there also. You can check our website. Just ask your questions away. The more you ask, the more you learn, the more you're aware, and the more better decisions you can take. And thank you all who have actually stuck by throughout. And it was a fun session. I hope I didn't bore you out by talking so much. If there's anything you did not understand, please throw in your questions or just throw your questions in the community. I'll be there to help you understand it all over again. I do not have a problem with that. All of you, just one more thing I wanted to highlight here. Lakshmi has started this initiative of community care, where if you know anyone who has suffered a loss of their loved ones, who was a breadwinner of the family, and wants assistance from a financial expert, can reach out to us. You can always connect them with us, and we would be happy to help them get back on the 2 feet and make the right financial decisions. And it is all free, of course. It's a service we think we need to provide out there, because what's the use of all this education when it's not put in the right use? And if you are a registered financial advisor, if you're a registered financial expert, do reach out to us if you want to volunteer for this service, in fact, so we can always bridge the gap. We have also recently launched a planner. This planner is made with a lot of thought, where you can actually have a guide to help you understand your financial journey. You can also check it out. All the links are in the Facebook community. You can just go and just scroll through and see whatever you like the most. And thank you for again connecting with us today. It was a lovely session for me. I really love answering your questions, and please ask away all the questions. It's really fun that I answer one question, and see, all of you here are benefiting from it. So I think it's a really great way of learning together. So yeah, thank you so much, and see you all soon next week on our next Money Hour. Bye guys.